She pretended to be rich, telling him how wealthy her father was in order to win his heart. Meanwhile, he also pretended to be wealthy to impress her. Now that they are married, let's discover what happened after they uncovered each other's true identity. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more of our latest stories. One afternoon, Mr. James met with his two staff members, Richard and Alex. He informed them that he would be traveling to China and instructed them to manage both his car business and his apartment in his absence. He warned them to be cautious and made it clear he didn't want to hear any troubling stories upon his return. With that, he left. That same day, Richard and Alex were on their way somewhere when Richard spotted a beautiful lady. He was immediately drawn to her beauty and started following her. His friend quickly stopped him, saying the girl was out of his league and that he couldn't afford to date such a classy woman. Richard insisted, disregarding his friend's words. They argued as the lady drove off, but Richard was determined to follow her. Meanwhile, when the lady, whose name is Sophia, got home, her friend questioned her about the car she was driving, knowing full well that Sophia couldn't afford it. Sophia admitted that she had rented the car just to appear rich among her peers. Her friend rebuked her for trying to live a fake life, but Sophia ignored her advice. After a brief discussion, Sophia left. Back with Richard and Alex, Alex expressed concern about Richard's obsession with the lady, reminding him that she was out of his league and that he couldn't afford to maintain a relationship with someone like her. Richard argued back, boasting about his good looks and claiming they would be enough to attract her. His friend reminded him of his financial struggles, but Richard remained determined to approach her and left. Later that day, Richard was sleeping in the living room when Alex woke him up. Richard handed Alex his plan and asked him to read it aloud. The plan outlined all the financial benefits Richard expected to gain if he managed to marry the lady they had seen earlier. Richard also promised to help Alex become financially stable once his plan succeeded. Though skeptical at first, Alex doubted the idea, but Richard remained optimistic and persistent. Eventually, Alex agreed to go along with Richard's plan. The following day, Sophia was about to drive off when she noticed a car parked in a way that blocked her from exiting. She confronted Alex, asking him to move the car so she could leave. Alex responded, telling her to wait a little while, as his boss would be out soon and had stepped out for an emergency meeting. Sophia, clearly upset, shouted at him to move the car. Just then, Richard appeared, dressed in a classy outfit. He approached Sophia and asked what was going on. Sophia explained the situation, and Richard, trying to impress her, slapped Alex and scolded him for keeping a beautiful lady waiting. He then apologized to Sophia and offered to make it up to her by taking her out for lunch, which she accepted. Later that day, Sophia shared the experience with her friend, who expressed skepticism about the situation. The two friends argued, with Sophia revealing her intentions to marry Richard. She then left, visibly displeased with her friend's doubts. Meanwhile, Alex confronted Richard about slapping and insulting him in public. Richard apologized, explaining that he was only trying to make it look convincing so that Sophia would believe he was truly wealthy. However, Alex remained upset, and the two argued. The following day, Richard took Sophia to his boss's house, lying to her and saying it was one of his own properties. Sophia, also pretending, claimed her father owned a house just as beautiful. Richard then called for Alex and rudely told him to get Sophia a glass of water, throwing more insults his way. As the conversation continued, Richard told Sophia several lies about his accomplishments. Sophia believed him and responded with lies of her own about her identity. Richard, thinking he had successfully won over a wealthy woman, felt proud. As they bonded, he brought up the topic of marriage, and they seemed to connect even more. That same day, when Sophia got home, she was thrilled. She shared with her friend how wealthy Richard was and told her that he was even searching for a wife. Her friend remained skeptical, insisting that she knew something wasn't right, but Sophia dismissed her concerns and left. The next day, Richard's mother suddenly showed up at the house, shouting at the door and insisting that Richard should bring a wife into the home. Meanwhile, Richard was in the room with Sophia, who expressed concern about the commotion. Richard explained that it was just his mother, who often came by unannounced and pressured him to get married. Sophia said she understood things from his mother's perspective. As Richard's mother continued shouting in the living room, Sophia insisted they go out and meet her. When they entered the room, Richard's mother was stunned to see Sophia. Overjoyed, she praised Sophia's beauty and immediately referred to her as Richard's wife. Richard quickly clarified that they were not engaged and hadn't discussed marriage yet. But his mother ignored him, telling Sophia that she would soon carry her grandchild. Sophia felt excited and flattered by the kind gesture and warm welcome from Richard's mother. Later that day, Alex, Richard's friend, complimented the woman who had acted as Richard's mother to help convince Sophia and support their plan. She smiled and asked him to add an extra payment to what they had originally given her for playing the role. They laughed and got along well. That evening, Sophia spoke to Richard about the kind of elaborate, classic wedding she wanted. She asked him about his plans. Richard responded by agreeing to go ahead with the big wedding, telling her about his many accomplishments and social status. He suggested that for a start, they should do a simple traditional ceremony where he would pay her bride price and marry her formally, and then together they would plan the larger wedding. Sophia agreed with the idea. Richard went on to exaggerate the details of the big wedding, which made Sophia even more excited. They got along well. That same day at Sophia's apartment, she told her friend about Richard's intention to pay her bride price in 4 days. Her friend expressed skepticism, but Sophia remained convinced. She then begged her friend to lend her money to rent a car and to allow her to use the apartment for the traditional marriage. Her friend initially refused, but Sophia insisted. She eventually agreed, but warned Sophia about her decision, though Sophia wouldn't listen. Meanwhile, Richard and Alex were chatting excitedly about Richard's success in getting Sophia, the rich girl, to agree to marry him. Richard shared his plans, and the two of them discussed the next steps. The following weekend, Richard and Sophia got married and had their wedding photo shoot. That evening, when they got home, they enjoyed each other's company and discussed further plans for the bigger wedding. The next day, Sophia received a phone call and stepped outside to answer it. Meanwhile, Richard's phone rang. It was a friend he had borrowed clothes from. The friend angrily reminded Richard that he hadn't returned the clothes and threatened to come over and embarrass him. Richard pleaded for more time. At the same time, Sophia got a call from the man she had rented the car from, demanding payment. Sophia responded arrogantly. They exchanged harsh words, and she ended the call abruptly. That same day, Sophia complained to Richard about needing a new car. Richard responded by saying he had already arranged a surprise for her as part of their big wedding, exaggerating its luxury and quality. Sophia remained expectant and excited. That same evening, Sophia received a call from her friend, who reminded her to repay her debt. Sophia pleaded for more time, and they discussed it briefly before ending the call. Sophia felt worried. Later that night, Sophia called another friend, the one who had lent her jewelry for the wedding. She begged for more time to return it. Just then, Richard entered and Sophia immediately ended the call. She told Richard it was a friend from Los Angeles who was upset for not being invited to the wedding. They talked about it and eventually got along. That night, as they lay in bed, Richard thought to himself about how wealthy Sophia must be. He felt amazed that she came from such a rich background and imagined how his life would soon change. Meanwhile, Sophia was also thinking, admiring how handsome and rich Richard seemed, and feeling good about his promises for their big wedding. The following day, Richard expressed concern to Sophia about her ignoring some phone calls. She told him it was her cousin, to whom she had given 20 million naira to support his business. Richard was shocked to hear such a large amount. Sophia added that the cousin had been disturbing her ever since. Richard, still stunned, kept repeating, 20 million? Amazed that she would give away so much money as a gift. They discussed it further. That same day, Alex came and informed Richard that their boss would be returning in 4 days. He insisted that Richard wrap up his plans and also demanded to be paid for his part in their arrangement. Then he left, while Richard grew increasingly worried. The next day, while Sophia was out, she ran into the owner of the car she had rented. He insulted her and forcefully took back the car keys. They exchanged heated words before he drove off with the car. That same day, Alex rushed into the living room and warned Richard that Sophia was on her way. Richard immediately acted like he was on an important phone call, pretending to speak with a business associate. When Sophia came in, crying, Richard stayed on the fake call, loudly mentioning a 9 billion naira business deal. Sophia was surprised to hear that. Richard pretended to be upset, yelling about a friend who had lost 9 billion naira worth of goods to the authorities. Afterwards, he acted frustrated and told Sophia that he had lost all his money. Sophia, now also in tears, made up a story of her own, saying she had been robbed and forced to choose between her car and her life, and that she had chosen to save her life and lost the car. As she told her story, Richard told her she had made a mistake. A few moments later, both Richard and Sophia sat quietly in the living room, visibly frustrated. Richard then told her that since he was currently broke, if she could lend him 20 million naira, he would reach out to some of his business associates to get back on his feet. Sophia expressed her displeasure over the comment he had made earlier about her making a mistake when the robbers stole her car. Richard apologized and tried to make peace with her, then continued pressing for the money. Sophia, in turn, made up a story that her bank account had been frozen. Richard then suggested she sell her landed property, but Sophia came up with another excuse. Still persistent, Richard asked her to borrow 5 million naira from a friend. When she refused, he lowered his request to 500,000 naira. At that point, Sophia shifted the conversation and told him to borrow the money from his own friends. Richard fabricated stories about each of his friends being in critical financial situations. They argued and debated the issue until Sophia eventually stormed out, leaving Richard frustrated. The following day, Richard sat alone in the living room, lost in thought. Sophia, equally frustrated, told herself she couldn't continue like this and walked out. Later that day, Sophia confronted Richard. She told him she had passed by his company and seen car sales happening, questioning why he had lied about his business being shut down. At that very moment, there was a knock at the door. It was the man Richard had borrowed clothes from. Richard begged him to remain calm, but the man, clearly displeased, walked loudly into the living room and demanded that Richard return all the clothes he had rented. Sophia was shocked by the scene. The moment turned tense and dramatic as Richard quickly rushed to gather the clothes. A few minutes later, he returned them, while Sophia stood speechless. Sophia expressed her disappointment at Richard's lies. Richard, unapologetic, fired back by bringing up her own fake life, which he claimed to have discovered. The two of them argued, exchanging harsh words with each other. That same night, in her room, Sophia felt overwhelmed and frustrated by everything she had just discovered. Meanwhile, at her friend's house, Sophia tearfully explained what had happened. Her friend laughed at the situation, teasing her, as Sophia cried and begged to be allowed to stay at her place. After some back and forth, her friend agreed, though still jokingly mocking her. Meanwhile, Richard's friend teased him after hearing about everything that had happened, laughing at him as they talked. Eventually, Richard left. The following weekend, Richard's boss came back, and Alex shared the news with Richard, who was unhappy to hear it. Alex then reminded Richard about the money he owed, and the two friends argued before Alex left. Meanwhile, Sophia and her friend were in the room, watching a movie and enjoying each other's company. That evening, Sophia discovered that she was pregnant and felt both unhappy and worried about it. Later that evening, Sophia shared her pregnancy with her friend, expressing her concerns. Her friend suggested that she tell Richard about it. They discussed the situation, and Sophia thanked her friend, who then consoled her. That night, Sophia went to Richard's house and knocked on the door. When he answered, he was displeased to see her and told her that his boss was inside. They exchanged offensive words, and then Sophia revealed that she was pregnant. Richard acted nonchalantly, saying that he didn't care. Sophia told him that she couldn't terminate the pregnancy and asked what their next steps would be. Richard remained unreasonable, and they argued. Sophia then went on to knock on his boss's door. Richard pleaded as they argued once again, but eventually, he agreed to her terms, and they decided to talk again the next day. She left. The following day, Richard met with his boss and explained his plans to settle down and try to set up something to provide for his family. His boss understood Richard's explanation and supported him with 3 million naira to help him move forward. Richard expressed his gratitude. The following week, Richard brought Sophia to an apartment he had rented for them to stay in. However, Sophia was displeased, complaining that the house wasn't appealing to her or her child, calling it too local. They argued, exchanging harsh words with each other, and then Richard left. A few weeks later, Richard was outside counting money when Sophia came outside and observed him. Immediately, Richard hid the money in his underwear. Feeling upset, Sophia confronted him, but Richard lied, saying he didn't have any money. Sophia persisted, trying to take the money, and Richard ran away. The following day, Richard was peacefully sleeping in the living room when Sophia came in, nagging and waking him up, insisting that he give her money to fill the gas. She kept nagging and being dramatic. Richard, feeling frustrated, said this wasn't the life he had planned for himself. He explained that he didn't have any money, but Sophia told him she didn't care, and they continued arguing. The following night, Richard went to the kitchen and discovered there was no food. He confronted Sophia, asking why she hadn't prepared food with the money he had given her. She made excuses, saying it was late. Richard, very angry, shouted at her for not cooking, pouring his frustration out on her before leaving. The following day, Sophia called her friend about selling her wig. They negotiated the price and came to an agreement. Later that day, Richard showed Sophia the shop he had opened for her to buy and sell goods that they could use to support their daily living. However, Sophia remained ungrateful, disregarding his efforts and complaining that the shop was low class. Richard, feeling displeased, entered the shop and ignored her complaints. Later that day, Richard was going to the shop when he met Sophia coming back from the store with some items. She told him she felt hungry and took some items from the shop to eat. Richard was very displeased and frustrated. Sophia, unapologetic, told him she was hungry, and they argued. Sophia then left, leaving Richard upset. That night, Richard tried to have an affair with his wife, Sophia, but she refused, saying that he didn't take care of her or give her money. He pleaded, but she refused. The following day, Sophia confided in her friend, who warned her about living a fake life and being involved with Richard. Sophia apologized, saying she had learned her lesson and expressed regret. She then pleaded with her friend to buy her wig and jewelry. Her friend told her she didn't need them and agreed to support her with some food and money for her family. Sophia appreciated her help as her friend left. That night, Richard talked to himself, expressing his regret about living a fake life and his lies. That same night, the couple argued again. Sophia told Richard to give her money for rent, but he explained he didn't have any. They both expressed their frustration with each other as their disagreement continued. The following day, the couple argued again. Sophia asked Richard to give her a body massage, but he refused, saying he wasn't a masseuse. They argued, and then Sophia felt the baby coming. Richard immediately intervened. So, guys, if you enjoyed this story, kindly subscribe to this channel to get more of our latest stories.